We start off today with a movement that is getting everyone from environmentalists to regular consumers to question just what they're consuming. Now, activists against genetically modified organisms are organizing a worldwide protest against the biotech giant Monsanto later this month. Now, scheduled for May 25th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, the march against Monsanto is expected by organizers to hit over 250 cities across 6 continents. Now, this is coming on the heels of Congress' passage of what has been coined by critics to the Monsanto Protection Act, a bill that protects companies that produce genetically modified products from litigation. Now, RT contacted Monsanto, but the company did not provide a statement in time for this newscast. Now, in the press release from the event, Tammy Monroe-Cannell, the Seattle organizer, said that she got it going because she was concerned for her 2 children. She says, "I feel Monsanto threatens their generation's health, fertility, and longevity. I could sit by idly waiting for someone else to do something." Well, she certainly isn't alone in her sentiment, and activists across 36 nations are organizing Facebook to make their voices heard. Now, to understand more about what they're protesting against, I'm joined by RT correspondent Megan Lopez and RT's Ramon Galindo in Los Angeles. Ramon, let's start with you. If we could talk about these protests and what's happening, what are these people so up in arms about?
Right, Margaret. Well, activists, farmers, mothers, as you mentioned earlier, are going to be hitting the streets on May 25th in countries all over the world to speak out against Monsanto and genetically modified foods. And, you know, a big concern here is the possible health effects that genetically modified foods could have on, on human health. Not enough research has been done in the eyes of many people as far as what the long-term effects are on human health. A lot of concern over the environmental impact that pesticides that are produced and seeds produced by Monsanto are creating on small farms and on the environment. Some of the bee depopulation has been, recently linked to Monsanto products. And really, finally, the big thing that people are standing up against is the large monopolization of our food supply. Monsanto, one of the largest food suppliers, and a lot of people think that some of the political favor that they're able to get really knocks other smaller food producers out of the market, such as organic food farmers that are struggling to compete with subsidized seeds that Monsanto is able to produce at farms.
Okay. So Megan, let's jump to you here because I want to get into this Monsanto Protection Act, and the way that I understand it, it's providing these bioengineering companies, protection from a liability if their products cause any health issues. And if you could just talk to me about what that means, essentially, that relationship between these legislatures who are protecting them and that company. Tell me about that relationship.
Okay, well, let's first start with the Monsanto Protection Act. That's what has been dubbed. It's part of H.R. 933. Section 735, which actually protects these these type of corporations, these biotech firms. So basically, the House of Representatives and also the Senate, and then eventually President Obama signed on to pass this Agriculture Appropriations Bill of 2013. It was only for 1 year. However, critics say that it can cause irreparable damage to have even these genetically modified seeds go for 1 year. Why? That's because of the winds, because the winds could blow these seeds and they could essentially spread to anywhere. Now, the data in terms of what genetically modified seeds and crops actually do to the human body is still significantly inconclusive, but these biotech firms are making a lot of money selling them, and the problem is that a lot of countries, including the U.S., still do not have any type of GMO bans, any type of GMO labelings, or anything like that. So as far as the revolving door goes, for your question, there are a lot of people that are part of this revolving door. One of them being, they call him the so-called Fuzar. His name is Michael Taylor. He's the former head of public policy at Monsanto, current deputy commissioner of foods at the Food and Drug Administration. So that's one of them. The person that actually added this Monsanto Protection Act, and they say that he actually crafted the legislation for this bill, his name is Roy Blunt. He's a Republican from Missouri, and he worked on that legislation. Now, here's the thing about Roy Blunt. He was actually given $64,250 to his campaign committees between 2008 and 2012 from Monsanto, from Syngenta, and from similar biotech firms. So to say that there is a very close relationship between Congress and between biotech firms like Monsanto isn't that far of a stretch.
Megan, very interesting information about that relationship. Ramon, let's take it to you. At the heart of this, people just want to know what they're eating. You know, we saw Monsanto, they spent millions of dollars to defeat Proposition 37 in California, where you are, which has forced companies to label any GMO products. Why does this not scare Monsanto, or why does it? And how did they react to Prop 37?
Right, and just to add on to what Megan was saying, pro-GMO lobby has donated more than $7 million to current members of Congress. And, you know, here in California, where it seems so likely that voters were going to approve a GMO labeling initiative, which was on the ballot back in November, in the last couple of weeks of that campaign, Monsanto and other groups such as Dow Chemical and Kraft Foods, they really bankrolled a campaign of negative information about GMO labeling. That initiative eventually lost, but activists are still fighting to have other GMO initiatives go through either at the national level or at the state level. Now, a lot of people think that Monsanto really fought back against this, but because if consumers really did know that there were genetically modified foods in here, that people simply would not buy it. And we have to remember that around the world, it seems like people are more educated on this issue of genetically modified foods, given the fact that GMO labeling is already required in dozens of countries all over the world.
Okay. All right. So, Megan, speaking of bankrolling, Ramon just mentioned, talk to me about Monsanto's profits, because the way I understand it, they're up 22% this month after Congress passes this bill or has this bill. You know, why are we seeing this trend?
I think you're seeing this trend simply because the abundance of the product, it is really becoming more and more abundant. More farmers are realizing that they can use it more frequently. It's cheaper. It's very easy to do business with. But let's talk a little bit further about the countries that are being affected by this and the ones that are actually kicking it out. Because you cannot look at profits without looking at the countries that are not dealing with these products. So right now, there are 50 countries that have some type of regulation against it. Some of them have banned it completely. Hungary, for instance, actually just destroyed in March over 1,000 acres of Monsanto GMO corn crops because of the fact that they didn't know that this seed pollination had been in the country. Hungary is one of the many countries that has actually banned it. So around the world, it's hard to say whether or not their profits are going to remain steady or remain at that plateau of very big profits. But right now in the United States and similar countries that don't have any type of labeling, that don't have any type of ban against these products, the profits, as you are saying, are going up and significantly. And yes, that might be partly because people are buying this product and they don't exactly know what it is or what it's in. California, as Ramon had mentioned, tried to strike down that Proposition 37 to actually have it labeled. We're just not labeling it.
With so much information, we have to leave it there. Thank you. That was RT correspondent Ramon Galindo and Megan Lopez.